All right, good evening. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Dr. Thomason, roll call.
President Kaler, please let the record show that all 5 board members are present tonight.
Thank you very much. We are going to have a moment of silence followed by the pledge of allegiance. I move that we approve the agenda.
Second.
Any questions or concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Superintendent's report. Dr. Thomason.
President Kaler, members of the board, we do have some exciting things coming up. In 2 weeks, we have our last board meeting before the first quarter is over, and then we go into fall break starting on September 28th, going through October 9th. So we'll have a 2-week break for the entire district, and then on October 21st, we'll have the next board meeting and the only board meeting for the month of October.
Thank you very much. Fall. We felt a little fall last night, I do believe. It was such a delight. I thought, oh, okay, Arizona, I'll love you again. All right. Board comments. Mrs. Wilson.
I just wanted to thank all of our staff, especially here at District, but then even lower, our admin, our teachers, our staff, everybody who made Tuesday possible. It was a big, heavy lift, and even our online teachers, they did a great job. I've heard very big praises. I also was driving near Cooley today and saw a Gilbert police officer pull over. There's a lot of construction up there on Rucker, and he pulled over and was able to cross kids at that little cross there. And I just want to thank Gilbert PD and probably Maricopa County Sheriffs, because I'm sure they're out in high force and helping our kids stay safe on the way to and from school. So just thank you to all of those people.
Thank you, Mrs. Wilson. I also noticed there was a lot of people out cleaning up trees today, and even community members were trying to help. So there's still quite a few down around here. So yes, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Witovich.
Yes, I just prepared something because I think it's important that the community that's watching knows everything that took place for us today. So I'm going to read something to you here. Our schools reopened yesterday. Our community can be proud of the Higley administration, teachers, and staff who have dedicated countless hours to ensure our schools have met the state and county and public health dashboard guidelines for a safe and healthy environment. We want our students to be excited, not fearful, as they begin their school year, whether online or in person. As our students returned to school yesterday, the staffing teachers needed to be adjusted to accommodate both types of in-person and online students. We have amazing teachers and staff who are doing all they can do to ensure each student will be served. To do this, Higley administration and staff completed countless hours. They worked over the weekend. They worked on Labor Day, people. You cannot understand how many hours it went in just for it to say, let's open school. And they all wanted this to be a safe and successful opening. Our buildings were disinfected. New higher tech air filters were installed and tested. Classrooms were rearranged to accommodate social distancing, and additional cleaning supplies were ordered. Students' schedules were reviewed according to their online in-person preference and were assigned to be taught by our qualified Higley certified teachers, no matter what their preference took place. That took place on September 7th, and that was huge in reference to they had to move all the students that were online or the ones off online. It was an incredible task and what that took place, and I just applaud them. The IT infrastructure was reviewed and enhanced to accommodate online learning classes. Additional safety procedures were determined, the staff was trained, and new signage was put into place. These are extraordinary times. The response from the Higley staff and teachers have been extraordinary to meet the challenges of reopening our schools. No matter how our students have selected to learn, I, as a current board member of the Higley Governing Board, join the community in wanting the best for all our students. I would like to publicly thank every single employee for working together to ensure a safe and successful opening. I'd like to further say for the people that are watching out there on television or anything like that, anytime you come in contact in the near future with a Higley employer, be it a bus driver, a school person, the secretary, anybody, just say thank you, because what they have done is an incredible task, and I want this community we need to begin to show some kindness, first of all, and I think this is a great start for all of us to start acknowledging all the good work that we have done together to bring our kids to school today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Witovich. And I echo both of your sentiments. And I know that many of our teachers, thanks to great leadership, are doing 6/5. We are getting those AP classes for those kiddos. We are getting, I heard about a student that goes to drama for first hour and then goes home and goes online. So we've made some accommodations, and I am so grateful that we are trying to reach every student's need to the best of our ability, and it's with great staff and great leadership that's been taking place. All right, we're going to move on to request to speak. I have a couple. Thank you, Mrs. Reach. Stretch. Okay, we value input from our constituents. The time has been aside for anyone from the audience who wishes to address the board. Please remember, this is not an appropriate venue to evaluate, discuss, or criticize district personnel. Policy KEB provides a process for complaints about personnel. Speakers should be aware that false statements about individuals may result in civil liability. Members of the board may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to ARS 38-431-01H, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date. Please limit your remarks to just 3 minutes. Mrs. Amy Ludwig.
Oh, thank you. I'd like to start out, Mr. Glover. Thank you. Thank you so much for your continued support of teachers and students in this district. I greatly appreciate you. I'm so sad to know that you're not running for re-election. Okay, so to the rest of the board, this is my 4th year teaching. I thought that the first 6 weeks of this year were hard. That is nothing compared to how this week has been, and it's day 2. You said all of these lovely words about how much you appreciate how hard teachers are working, but I don't think you really understand fully what's going on inside classrooms right now. Every teacher that I know is working a minimum of 12 hours a day. They're working weekends. That's time sacrificed from our families, time that we're not getting compensated for. At this point, if I incorporate those hours into my pay, I'm making about $13 an hour. $13 an hour. We are expected as teachers to do so much extra sanitizing to keep students and staff safe. I appreciate that. The pacing guide is not being adjusted at all. We are still expected to teach students the same amount of content that we are in a regular year because they're getting tested on it. Not because that's what's best for students, not because it's what's best for teachers, but because they're getting tested for it. So how are we supposed to do that? I don't understand how we're supposed to teach the same amount of content in a limited amount of time, because transitions take much longer now, because we have to clean and sanitize everything. We're supposed to keep track of when a student keeps their mask on and off. I have 90 students. I have 30 students rotating in and out of each of my classrooms. I can tell you right now, there is no effective way for me to tell you who took off their mask in a class at what time. It's not possible unless that's all I'm doing all day. But of course, the pacing guide, as I said, has remained the same, so I'm still expected to teach them content as well. It's a lot. It's very difficult. And you made this decision by cherry-picking your data, and you were not upfront and clear about that. So the metrics were not met. They were met for the county, and they were met for the district, and you combined them, which is the opposite of what you did prior, but I digress. So you made this decision by cherry-picking the data. If teachers were to do that, I think we'd probably have a lot more A+ schools throughout the state, but of course, we're not allowed to do that, and nor would we, because we like our data to be accurate, because that's how we effectively teach. And you did this with 1 week notice. 1 week notice for families and for teachers. So that was so nice of you to do it over Labor Day so we could sacrifice our 3-day weekend to be in the classroom preparing, because guess what? My classroom was not prepared, because my hours and hours and hours of time were spent creating my online Canvas. And then we had 1 week and 2 days where we didn't have to teach. We had those 2 days to do everything that we needed to do. Wednesday, we had our meeting that gave us our policies and procedures. Wednesday. We opened school Tuesday. It's like a 44-page playbook that's constantly being updated. It doesn't even have the contents on it because it's changing so often. I submitted my resignation to the district today. I'm at a school that I love to be at with a team that I is so strong, with students that are amazing and parents that are so supportive, and I had to quit my job today because I am unhealthy due to my stress level because of the decision that you made. You could have waited. You could have waited and given teachers the time that we needed, given families the time that they needed. We could have wrapped up first quarter and gotten everything all squared away, but you didn't do that. You gave us 1 week notice, and you're sitting here saying thank you for all of our hard work, but those words are lost on me. I'll be 100% honest. I just wanted to stand up on behalf of all of the teachers that I know in the district, because they are working just as hard as I am. We're actually teaching online and in person. So I wanted to stand here and say that the decision you made was not based on accurate data. You are not clear in the way that you represented your data.
I hate to cut you off.
I'm almost done. And because of that, I had to quit my job. So, because I could just get a second job. I can't do that because of the amount of stress and work that I already have to do. That is a direct result of the actions of the board, cherry-picking data, and giving teachers 1 week notice to do everything. So, I appreciate your thanks. I'm so glad in my heart that it's meaningful to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ludwig. Miss Ludwig, sorry. Melina Rangel?
Hi, good afternoon. That's a credible story. I certainly want to echo that sentiment. For weeks, I've watched patiently, completely impressed with the online schooling. My personal students doing fantastic, hearing a bunch of families struggle. So fortunate, right? Feeling very fortunate that my teachers are prepared and my students have the support they need. I understand that's not every family. What I asked on the last school board meeting when I submitted is that you just please take the time to make a good decision, because we cannot all go back to school. As a high-risk family, as other high-risk families, we have to make decisions on what's best to keep our child safe. My children are doing fantastic at home. My husband and I do a lot to make sure they have everything they need. We work 10-hour days. We work on the weekends. We work on the holidays. There's no compromise if you're not a teacher as well. We have to do both. My concern is that they went back to school with very short notice, very little information from Sossaman Junior High on what our options were. You can get more information later, but make your decision now. Who does that? I give job offers to people and they won't accept them unless I tell them how much money I'm going to give them. What's the difference? I would expect the same consideration. The problem is my daughter was told yesterday she has no instructor. At 12 years old, teach yourself. That makes no sense to me. So what I'm asking is, I understand there needs to be time. These teachers have done an incredible job so far. I have no doubt that it can happen again. I'm asking to please consider for the children that have to stay home at Sossaman Junior High, please get them an instructor. I mean, my daughter wants to learn. How lucky am I? Can you please give them some teachers? Can you please give them an option to learn in an equal manner as every child that gets to go back? That's all I'm asking.
Thank you. And this is Mr. Philip Ringel.
My name is Phil Rangel. Melina's my wife. We're in the same situation with our daughter. Currently, everything that she's doing online, I've talked to the principal, I've talked to, I've left a message for the superintendent to give me a phone call back also. As it stands right now, we have a daughter who's struggling at age 12 to deal with online learning. She wants to learn, but there are no teachers willing to help. We were told that she has the ability to speak to a teacher on Wednesday, and all of her teachers have combined within 1 hour of her if she has any questions on any of her assignments whatsoever. So she's supposed to go to every teacher within a 1 hour period. She has no interaction with anybody else. She deals directly with a module that she has to figure out herself. Colleges don't do that. My son goes to Centennial Elementary. He's got a platform. And the one thing that I look at is we were out there at Centennial Elementary with signs, honking horns for Red for Ed, because it was a cause we believed in. I feel like this is the time where we need to be paid back. Our students should not have to suffer because you chose not to give them a proper education. My daughter's in accelerated English. She's in accelerated classes, and as of today, one of her lessons that she had to do was she had to do a point of view, who is telling the story. My son did that last year in 3rd grade. So my daughter is currently going to suffer when she goes back, if she goes back. And she's going to be behind for everything that she worked for, from kindergarten through 6th grade on accelerated. She's in the Honor Society. She worked hard on an application throughout the summer to make sure she got into her yearbook class. That yearbook class was taken away from her because it's an elective she can't have anymore. The school messed up and had her in-person learning, so everything that we have regarding online, we were given within a day to process this. So the school messed up our enrollment and didn't have us in anything, so we're not receiving any emails. So we all go in. Now, we have a Zoom call tomorrow at 11 a.m. with the principal, but we work 10 to 12 hours a day, just like the teachers do. How are we supposed to take the time off from our schedule when the in-person learning has a Zoom call at 5:30? So it's a lot of inconvenience. So me as a parent, I have to teach my child because the resources aren't there for a Zoom class. What is the reason why we can't have a computer in the class with just a camera on while the teacher gives the lessons to the people in the live class? No one can answer any of the questions like this. Her schedule is completely changed, and I don't want to see my daughter suffer. There's nothing like seeing a child that is sad and frustrated and has no one to go to other than her parents because the teachers are not there anymore. I guess you can go to the teacher from 11 to 12 on a Wednesday, but she has to pick and choose which one. The online is a complete mess, and all I'm asking for is the time to get it fixed, right? We've been in this pandemic since March. I work for Wells Fargo. We transitioned from home and figured out everything within 2 months. We're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. We had the resources to do it, but it's now 6 months for Higley Unified School District. I know our tax dollars are going to this somehow. We can figure it out.
I hate to cut you off, but
No worries.
thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on to 6. I move that we approve 6.1 to 6.8.
Second.
Questions, comments, and concerns? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Okay, we are going on to a,
President Kaler,
yes.
can we thank for the gifts? Can we do a thank you to the school for the gifts?
Oh, yes, you can
I
absolutely.
believe,
It was,
does anybody remember what
It was
school
Coronado, I think, again,
Okay.
PTO.
I just thought it would be nice
Yes.
to thank them.
Yes, absolutely. I did have that on my notes earlier, but yes, thank you to the PTO of Coronado. They've done a lot already this year. Okay, now we're going to our information update from Educational Services.
President Kaler, members of the board, at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Lautenshauser to give us an update on our educational services.
President Kaler, members of the board, Dr. Thomason, members of cabinet, Dr. Foley and Mrs. Richards can't be here tonight, so you're stuck with me. So we've got quite a few different topics for discussion that we're going to go through today. Next slide, please. So if you'll take a look, we're going to have an update from Jillian Fulton, our district nurse. We'll talk about elementary specials tonight. We'll talk about the secondary online options, different things that we've done to help fill you in. I have a short athletics update, and then we have a food services update as well. So those are just some of the tasks, and I would like to thank you for recognizing the hard work that many of our people have done behind the scenes and forward-facing it was. As we know, the split was a very big task. And there are a few people that I'd like to thank before I forget. We have a team in research and assessment who did all the back end work. And when you talk about people who came in over the weekend, they started Saturday morning on making this split happen for us. And so I'd like to thank Dr. Susan Borzich, Brian Campbell, Lori Collins, Julie Shipman, Billie Jean Welsing, and Julie Cutler. That group came in, really worked behind the scenes then to allow the schools to start making some of those decisions and making those changes. It was a very huge lift, and so I'd like to thank them.
President Kaler, members of the board, Dr. Thomason, members of cabinet, my name's Jillian Fulton. I'm the district nurse. I have a little health update tonight. The first slide here, just to recap what we've already gone over and what's already in our guidelines. The exclusion guidelines of the Maricopa Department of Public Health require that anyone who exhibit a COVID-19 symptom or symptoms must be excluded from school and may return when the following criteria is met. Those have not changed. It's the 24 hours fever-free without fever-reducing medication, improvement of symptoms for at least 24 hours and 10 days have passed. They can have a negative lab test, which is optional, not required, in place of 10 days. So those are things that we've already had in place. This right here, the Maricopa Department of Public Health Services additional component that we have added is the exclusion of students who have an absence related to COVID-19 symptoms. What that means is if the student is called in absent for any symptom of COVID-19, we are monitoring that. It's going to our health office and they are following up with that. They'll be screened by the school site health aide. That screening includes any active COVID-19 symptoms, and we do take into consideration the pre-existing conditions. From there, we have them on our watch list, and we're watching them to make sure that they're feeling better, if things are escalating, if they're being tested, if they're not. If a student has active COVID-19 symptoms that are not related to a pre-existing condition, we're following those same exclusion guidelines to be able to bring them back to school. And these are the exclusion guidelines, and the highlighted sentence at the top is what I added. This includes students who are reported absent due to any one of the above symptoms. And this was given to me by the health department, and I find it very easy to follow, and it's just nice little pictures, so I added that in here tonight. You can see screen for COVID-19, and you can go through all of those. No flags, they can come to school. Exposure, close contact, no symptoms, cannot go to school, home for 14 days. All the way through there, and you can see on the right where this new component was added, at least one symptom, cannot go to school. 10 days since first symptoms, no fever for at least 24 hours. So same guidelines underneath that.
Ms. Fulton, can I ask a question on that? When we talk about pre-existing conditions, It's Arizona. It's allergy season. It's always allergy season. I don't know that Arizona has an off allergy season for something. Congestion, runny nose is very common with allergies. Do they need to have some type of medical record saying that they suffer from allergies? You know, not everyone goes to the doctor for allergies, that it's something that over-the-counter allergy medicine takes care of, because that's what it is. So can you help on that a little bit?
Yes, President Kaler, Board Member Reese, I can give you a good example too, but to answer the first part of your question, yes. So sorry, I can't see. If they have pre-existing conditions, those are documented in our health system in Synergy. And so, sorry, I'm thinking of a couple different things to say, but parents, when they're updating all of their contact information, there's also medical information that they can update at that time, and they can put in something like a pre-existing condition, a diagnosis. That being said, I have had examples where there wasn't something listed of a pre-existing condition. However, we pulled the data that we do have, how many times that student had been in the health office for the same situation in the past year, in the past 2 years, and we collected that and looked at that and talked to the parents. So this wasn't a absolutely, you're going home, sorry, you have a runny nose. We look at absolutely everything. I will say, if they don't have any documentation and I don't have a history of it, they need to go home for those 10 days. So.
Okay, so if they didn't put seasonal allergies in Synergy, will you accept a medical diagnosis of seasonal allergies? I mean, and I get it, because unfortunately, every symptom of COVID is the symptom of everything else too. And just because you have symptoms of something does not mean it's COVID. And I get that, and I understand frustrations, but I know more so right now that it's the congestion and the runny nose, it's the allergy piece. If they never marked seasonal allergies on their form, I mean, I would hate for students have to miss 10 days of school when they do have seasonal allergies, and a parent's never thought of marking that, because if they think of allergies, they think of a food allergy or a medication allergy.
President Kaler and Board Member Reese, the parents that I have talked to, I remind them to go in and update that information. Unfortunately, if there is nothing documented and we don't have a history of those symptoms being consistent, they will go home for the 10 days. However, they do have an option to go get tested with a negative test, and I have been giving out resources just today of a testing site that is testing all ages, and I'm getting results back in 18 to 24 hours. So they do have a choice to be able to do that and help come back. And they can go to the doctor after that and have things documented and bring that to me. But it is not a free one time, okay, you went and got a note and you get to come back. We're not allowed to accept those notes per the health department. So if we can start documenting that and we have that history, of course we take that into consideration. Thank you.
For our online elementary specials update, I will do my best, Mrs. Richards, for you. It has been a great start for our elementary students, but when we look at online, basically one of the challenges that had to be addressed is how is specials going to be happened. So I have a statement that I'd like to read, or some notes from Mrs. Richards. Our elementary online students will have access to art, music, media, and PE while they are learning online. Special area teachers from all of our elementary campuses are contributing to this very important initiative. Ms. Stephanie Witovich, our online specials teacher on assignment, is coordinating the collection and uploading of these lessons weekly into Canvas. As you can see, that's a picture of what the Canvas page would look like when the students log in. Grades will not be taken, as these are enrichment opportunities. And really, when we talk about our moving forward together, this is an example of how we have a good blending and teamwork opportunities from teachers all over the district that are coming together, found a need, moved forward. There's an organized way now that we're going to be able to provide specials for our online learning elementary students. So we would like to give a shout out again to the special teachers and to our specials teacher on assignment who's coordinating all of this work for us. Additionally, when we took a look at our online elementary students, how are we going to be able to fit in the band and orchestra opportunities? And so with those discussions of those teachers, we really need to thank Mr. Alexander Rivera and Mr. David Jakes, because what they're doing is they're providing an enrichment course, almost like an after-school enrichment opportunity that parents can volunteer and opt in for their students regardless of what school in the district they go to. And so they meet on Wednesdays at 3:30, because we need that music instruction to continue. And we don't want people who are unfortunately are having to make the choice to stay at home to miss out on that. And so these two instructors stepped up and are leading this opportunity. So it's a free band and orchestra after-school course on Wednesdays at 3:30. Currently, right now, we have 66 students in the district that are taking advantage of this situation. And so, once again, I think it's a wonderful way for our students to continue their love of music and the fine arts. And thank you again to the teachers stepping up outside of their normal duty to do this.
Yes, I just want to say again, thank you for all these teachers that have stepped up in these difficult times. And it just, I know it's helping their programs too for the future. And that's, been a concern for all of us, making sure that, so next year we'd still have a robust band and orchestra program going. And even if a student does need to stay home, if they can come even in an afternoon, this is an awesome I'm really thrilled with all of this that's happening. Thank you.
So let's jump into a secondary schools update and the idea of collaboration. And, we talk about professional learning communities amongst our teachers and things. I truly feel like our principals were in a very, very professional learning community over the past 2 weeks. I know some of you visited kind of our war room as we were outlining how many kids were taking what different courses and where we could turn around and offer those courses online. And the collaboration that happened not just between the high schools together, but the junior high or the middle schools in with each other and figuring out how we're going to get teachers and coverages. Is it perfect? No, it's not. It's still a work in progress, and we're still working really hard to get the kinks out. And we knew that it wasn't going to be easy, but we're working really hard to make this important split happen. So our online courses are taught, they're not school specific, and so you might be a student at Higley High, but we might have a teacher at Williamsfield that's picking up the section, and actually it might be a highly qualified Sussman teacher that could have been able to pick it up, or a Cooley teacher, and vice versa. And so that's where I think the really unique part of sharing who we have available and how can they help. And then we got to a point where we had to make a decision, how are we going to offer these courses online? And so this is where, to go back to our teachers, we came to them and said, would you be willing to teach a course as a 6/5? For those of you who aren't familiar, a teacher teaches 5 classes during the day, has a prep hour. The 6/5 is basically them saying, I will give up my prep hour to teach an online section. And because of that, we had an overwhelming majority of our teachers that said, let us help. And so we did that. There's a significant number. If you want to know the specifics, I think Ms. Martins has that specific. But they stepped up and allowed us to offer more than we thought we could, and I think a different depth than we were anticipating earlier. And so I publicly would like to say thank you to all of those teachers who are stepping. We do know it's stressful. We know that these are hard times, and we know that their commitment to our kids is outstanding, because the bottom line, that's who this is for. This is for our kids.
Can I just tag on to that? I think the community has to understand we don't have any manuals. You don't. And for these teachers, I mean, they could just sit back and say, let's just let it happen. Nothing happens in this district and we don't have it. But these teachers have stepped up, created some fantastic programs to the point that other districts are looking at them online. And it's wonderful. Sure, there's going to be some hiccups, but as a group of us, we just need to be patient with each other. And we're going to get through this. But please thank this group of people for taking the initiative and taking the step forward to making a difference for our kids here. Okay, please.
We will. And one thing I'm happy about this, because I feel like we were able to look at the funding for this out of the grant money, stabilization grant money. And so instead of paying third-party vendors to come in or do other things, the money's going directly back to our teachers who are picking up the lift and the load. And I think that's an important thing for them. And so the next couple slides just kind of shows, once again, at the high school level, this is where we're taking a look at the different courses that are listed. It's a little bit different than we anticipated, because we have been working with Chandler Gilbert Community College to make sure that we have those dual enrollment options They're actually extending the deadline. The deadline was supposed to be this week. We're extending it till the 22nd so that we can go in and promote more. Hey, please sign up for dual enrollment options. We have these available for you. We have now a lot of our teachers. So if you look under CTE, a lot of these teachers originally were not signed up to do a 6/5, but they said that they would and continue to do it in a dual enrollment option. And so that just provided more opportunities for our students who are making the choice to stay online so they can continue to get these same opportunities. Next slide, please. Now, once again, if you look at more online course offerings, just an example, electives obviously is the hardest one, is the biggest one as we're going through. And these are just, once again, different teachers who have been able to step up for us and courses that we're putting in. Not necessarily all the courses are Florida virtual courses that have that supplementary curriculum. Some of them are teacher-created curriculum as well because there is no Florida virtual that aligns to them. But the teacher said, I will take on that role and help have a robust online. I know that we're only 2 days into it, and we're still making adjustments on what needs to happen. We're still balancing. There are still things that we need to do to be able to help and support our families, as you heard, and our teachers in doing the online course offerings. At the middle school, we've had a tremendous amount, and I need to be honest, one of the challenges was when we went into the beginning of last week, we probably had less than 200 kids that had told us they wanted to go into the online option. I think by the end of the week, we're up to 400. So some of the plans that we had set in place, now when we're doubling the number of kids, we're having to make adjustments. And once again, the principals are calling each other, working on those things, calling HR then and say, I'd like to offer another course. I had another teacher willing to step up and take this opportunity. Can we have another 6/5 and how we can work on that together? And so for those of you who are listening, we understand that there are some issues that are still we need to address, and we are addressing. And please be aware that we're doing the best that we can for our online students.
Thank you, Mr. Lotzenheiser, and I agree with you. We're only day 2, and again, we don't have a handbook. We're rewriting everything as we go. Just watching today, Mrs. Wilson and I think Mrs. Martins too, we were the ASBA law conference all day, and again, we're all on this ship and building it at the same time, and this is so enlightening, though, to all of us, just seeing Spanish 4 as an elective online. I mean, before we were saying we weren't going to be able to do that. Now we are able to do that. So these are amazing things happening. And I know thank you seems so cheap, but truly it's from our hearts right now. I mean, all of us.
President Kaler. So I'm just going to reiterate a lot of the stuff that was just said because I think it's so important. I thank you for clearing up some of the misconceptions that people had about what is offered and what is not offered. And a grand thank you to the teachers who voluntarily said, I'm going to do this extra work. Now, we've figured out we're not asking them to work for free. So earlier in the consent agenda, we approved some stipends for that extra work. And I know it's probably, a money loss, but it's the right thing to do. And I want to thank Ms. Richards and Mr. Lotzenheiser for all the hard work in doing that. And, one of my responsibilities, our responsibilities is budget. So I am willing, I know you said that it seems like you may have it covered, but whatever, I'm supportive of any adjustments we have to make in order to compensate our teachers so that we can make all these offerings. So I know it hasn't been easy, and I know there was a lot of misconceptions. So if anyone is still at home maybe angry that something is not offered, I would say urge you to just double check because like everyone said, a lot of changes are being made so that we can do the best we can. And you look like you have a comment, Dr. Thomason.
Yes, President Kaler, members of the board, there are about 60 teachers that stepped up to teach an extra section. That is 60 teachers that are going above and beyond their call of duty to help our students and our community have the opportunities that they wouldn't otherwise be able to have within the district. That's 60 teachers across the district.
I echo those sentiments that at this point, we do have to say whatever the cost to provide the very best we possibly can for our students. And again, paying for our teachers. I mean, nobody wants to work for free today. And I know that there was there was a lot of people working over the weekend, and I'm just so thankful.
Next slide, please. So a really quick athletics update. On September 2nd, the AIA board followed the recommendations. They call it the SMAC. the SMAC, Sports Medicine Advisory Committee, and the calendar was not changed. There are ongoing discussions dealing with metrics and different things, because different parts of the valley definitely have different metrics and how that's working. But as of right now, the fall sports calendar is continuing. We did have tryouts that started and different sports that have already started. Football was allowed to start practicing on Monday. And so that's when that happened. They outlined health and safety protocols. I'm happy to say that our protocols we were doing already were what was they outlined and asked for our coaches to do as they were coming. And so the next step in ours is the continuing to evaluate how we are going to be able to host events. We met today with the athletic directors in Gilbert and Queen Creek as we're going to try to be consistent with some of the different things we're doing here in the East Valley in terms of how we're doing with the different teams that come onto our campus and what are those expectations. And so I will be able to provide you more specifics as we get closer within a superintendent's report about how we're going to host events on campus. And, you know, one of the things we continue to look at is we know that there are a lot of people who want to come to our events, so how can we provide opportunities for that? And for people who don't feel comfortable with that, how can we live stream all of our events as well? And so that's kind of where we are with the high school athletics. Competitions will start within the next couple weeks, and so we will be getting that to you. But I think there's a good consensus among what we want to do in the East Valley about being consistent. Because let's face it, we're going to go play the Gilbert schools, and they're going to come play us. Or down in Queen Creek, you know, so small within our pocket, we're going to be playing each other. We just got swim and dive schedules today, so there's 4. They're going to have 4 contests, and they basically left it up for us as a district to figure out how to do it, because our public pools they've allowed us to open and practice. Some of the municipalities have not, and so that's creating different challenges with swimming. So that's kind of a harder one. So we'll have a game plan put together, how we look at that.
Thank you very much for that update. Any questions for Mr. Lotzenheiser? Okay, we're moving on to our food service update.
President Kaler, members of the board, very recently, as of last week, the USDA and the Arizona Department of Education have opened up waivers to allow children ages 18 years and under to have free food service again. You remember when the COVID-19 first started, we gave out over 500,000 meals across the district, and then they had stopped it starting July 1, and now they've opened it back up again, which have caused a few issues with staffing because people had jobs and then they were laid off. And then when they opened it back up with just a week's notice that they were going to start again, a lot of those individuals had already found jobs. So we've had a lot of people step up and do extra duty in that aspect too. So our cafeterias are fully running, not just fully running, but running harder and faster than they ever have before, because there's free breakfast and free lunch for any individual in the school that is 18 years of age and under. Not only that, they have stepped up and done a service to our community. You do not have to be a Higley Unified School District student to take advantage of this. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, they also have food packages that can be picked up for those individuals that may need extra support. And these are littles too. You don't have to be in kindergarten or preschool to take advantage of this. If you have some littles at home that need food service, or you just need extra support because of conditions at your home, we do have food service available to pick up on Tuesdays and Thursdays at Higley Traditional Academy, and all students within the district would have the opportunity to have free breakfast and free lunch while they're at school also, including our online students.
Dr. Thomason, is it beneficial for our community members to pick up that lunch and for us on our financial goals?
Yes, President Kaler, members of the board, Mrs. Wilson, we do make money on those food service lunches. It's not a great deal of money. It's about 25 cents for breakfast and about 45 cents for lunch, but the district does benefit from being able to provide those lunch services to our community and our students. And so that is something that is beneficial for our employees, for our students, and for our community. So if you need that, please take advantage of it.
Thank you, Dr. Thomason. And do you know, like, if you're in a high school setting, is it any free lunch, or is it a specific lunch that goes for that free lunch?
President Kaler, members of the board, that is a specific USDA certified lunch, which
Right.
includes a milk component, a fruit component, a vegetable component, a
And an
protein
entree.
component.
Okay.
So it is
It's not
that.
like all the kids go have free nachos every day at lunch.
No, it is not an a la carte, and you do have to take all components of the lunch.
Right.
So So
don't pick and
maybe you
choose.
don't want your apple, but maybe you can take the lunch and give the apple to your friend, or take
Okay.
it home and feed it to your horse.
Okay. All right, I just wanted to clarify that. And this is through December 30th so far? Is that what I also read?
That is correct. It's through the end of the calendar year at this
Okay.
time.
All right,
And
very
it-
good.
And it's also beneficial for our title families to still continue to fill out those applications, correct?
Absolutely. That is still, because those will still take place after December 31st, should the waiver not continue after the fiscal year. But also, too, if there's somebody out there that is looking for a job or position, we do have food service openings within our district. So I think that's important to let our community know, too, because of the way the waivers were granted and then they were stopped immediately. Some people were furloughed and let go. They did find other jobs, and now they opened it back up full to more students than we've ever served lunch to before. We do have openings across the district.
Thank you, Dr. Thomason, for that update. Okay, anything else? We're going to move on.
Just.
Go ahead, Mr. Glover.
Oh, thank you. One more, I guess, comment, and I'm kind of blending it in with the presentation we just had, but back to some consent agenda items, and one of our earlier speakers, we have lost teachers. We have lost a lot of paraprofessionals. We've lost food service. We've lost other classified, and it is just a shame. And there's just such a human cost to all of this that it really has taken its toll on everybody. And I hope that at some point we can come out of this and somehow be okay. But it's just worth reflecting on that a little bit. When you get wound up about something that maybe isn't as important, that there are people who are greatly affected by all the things that are going on in a variety of ways. So.
Absolutely, Mr. Glover. Thank you for that. Okay, we are going to go on to 7.2. I move that the governing board approves the proposed updates to the calendar for the 2020-2021 school year. And this goes back to adjusting the middle school and elementary teacher conferences. After speaking with our administrators, they did want to continue with those in the future, perhaps not as soon as that they were scheduled from the September date, but after fall break, when the teachers have had more time to be with their current students in person.
Second. I think you need a second, correct?
Oh, yes.
I think you need a second.
Second. Questions, comments? Mr. Glover.
Thank you. I just have one question, and you guys may not be able to answer it at all, but when I was looking at the calendar, I saw there was October 28th, 29th, and 30th are all half day, half day, half day. And I was just wondering if there was any thought at all given to, and it's too late now, probably, I get it, but to making the 28th like a full day. I worry about some of the parents who have to find childcare and everything else, and I just thought maybe that was an opportunity that could have been maybe a full day, and then the other two could have been half days. Did you guys talk about that at all, or am I catching you guys way off guard?
No,
I should have sent that in, I know, sorry.
President Kaler, Board Member Glover, we did discuss that, and if you take a look, I guess one of the reasons we looked at the original calendar and it was set up that way, we did have the early releases, and so while that was a consideration, we also looked and thought, well, maybe that has been a practice that has been used previously, and how we'd look at the half days and the early releases. And, on the early release days, and we even had one today, on the second day of school, because we wanted to be consistent with what our board-approved calendar was and the important time that it still applies. But we do understand as we're transitioning back, especially the idea of these kids being at home.
Okay, any other comments or questions on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Okay, we're going to move on to 7.3. I move that the governing board approves payment of $127,262.60 to High Tech Network and Security Solutions, LLC. And this is for the renewal of our Cisco phone system.
Second.
Questions, comments, concerns? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye, motion carries 5-0. Wow. Are we already to future agenda items? Anyone have anything? Dr. Thomason, I still would like to and this can be like an information item, but I know we're back to in-person school, A-hour and the late start, and having programs for our high schoolers. I know once our media centers are completed, I'm hoping that we can get some more activities or scheduled. We've talked about the not so much lunch and learns at 6:30 in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, but just getting back into that, we need to probably figure something out for these secondary students that are on campus for that gap time.
President Kaler, members of the board, just to make sure we're clarified on what you're asking is that you would like information on a late start opportunities for high school students.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mr. Glover.
Just one more thing for Dr. Thomason. I know I did see you reach out to Ms. Ludwig, but will you also reach out, or did you also get the contact information for the other couple?
I have it right here, and I was
Okay.
going to ask too that
All right.
Yes.
we,
President Kaler, members of the board, I normally do also reach out to individuals that speak with a high concern. I knew that I was able to find their information online, so, but with Mrs. Ludwig, it's not as easy because she's not in the student information system. It's easier for me to give her the information and have her give me a call.
Okay, thank you.
yes, very good. I was going to ask that we could have the Zoom meeting at a convenient time for the Rangel family, so definitely, I have their information here. Anything else? All right, with that, I move that we adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Have a good evening.